Hi, my name is Joe Foy, and I'm campaign director of the Wilderness Committee. This is a 25-minute slideshow video about the various things that the Wilderness Committee has been up to, some of the things the Wilderness Committee has been up to, since the spring of 2007 right up until the spring of 2008. I put together this presentation for the Wilderness Committee's annual general meeting. So sit back. This isn't everything, every trail, every rally, every public information night we put on, but it's a nice slice of life, and you'll get a good idea of what it's like to volunteer and hang out with the Wilderness Committee over a period of 12 months. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, this is our annual report, and you'll find it on our website, complete with a welcome from the executive team. Report on our great membership growth, but I want to talk about the victories today, starting with the Elaho Valley. Last year, the Squamish Nation signed an agreement with the provincial government, which has resulted in this year the area being protected as a conservancy under park legislation. What a great victory. What a magnificent wilderness area located just north of Squamish, home to the oldest known Douglas fir trees in Canada, the southernmost grizzly habitat on the coast, all of it in Squamish Nation territory. A tough campaign. Number of groups participated in a civil disobedience campaign. Of course, the Wilderness Committee concentrated on trail building, research. Here we're bringing a slice of ancient forest to the legislature in Victoria. Required several hundred kilometers of hiking, got lots of news media, and was one of the tactics that resulted in the preservation of this area today. Great victory, the Elaho Valley. Now I have some video news reports of what happened in our second victory, which is the Upper Pitt River, located just north of Vancouver. Here's the story.
The region of the Upper Pitt River is known as one of the best spots for salmon fishing in the Lower Fraser River Valley. But recreationists say that's all about to change with the proposed water power project.
I've been coming there since I was a kid. My dad brought me up there when I was 5 years old. And what really bothers me is the next generation of kids are not going to have a chance like I had to see real wilderness and catch fish.
Those that are opposed to it say that this will impact on the pristine wilderness of the area, on the wildlife, on the fish, and they are making their voices heard every time that there is a public meeting, and they are promising that they will continue to keep up the pressure on the government over this.
This is ridiculous. It was these guys that set it up in this tiny little room. They need to come back. You need to come back in a bigger space and give the chance to the people of Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge to tell you exactly what they think of this freaking scheme to steal their park and their rivers.
Thank you.
Opposition to it had been building for weeks, culminating in a loud town hall meeting last night that saw speaker after speaker blast the proposal.
And I believe this proposal is ill-conceived and would be very damaging to the river and the valley it runs through.
There is no public interest in us being gouged for the price of this power to make others wealthy.
Good evening, and we begin with what appears to be the kiss of death tonight for a private power project along the Upper Pitt River. A company called Run of River Power had applied to build 7 power generating stations on tributaries of the Upper Pitt. And part of its proposal called for a transmission line to run through Pinecone-Burke Provincial Park. But the project ran up against some serious public opposition. And today, the Environment Minister made a decision that could throw up the final roadblock.
Whoa.
It was celebrations all around for environmental groups today, as news emerged that a proposed power project that could have significant impact on a cherished river ecosystem in the Lower Mainland wasn't going to get BC government support.
The Wilderness Committee is thrilled that Minister Penner made the decision to pull the plug on the private power project in the Upper.
Well, of course, we're all pretty happy at stopping the private power for the Upper Pitt. But we got busy going out to other areas which were actually being built, these private power projects. Here's Tipella Creek. There are hundreds of these things, private power projects proposed right across the province. And the Wilderness Committee, along with our partners, COPE 378, to Save Our Rivers, a number of organizations are scrambling to educate people about the dangers to our public rivers and streams that these things pose, and to mount a campaign to get these things stopped, get our power public again, and our rivers to remain wild. This is the Miller Creek generating station where severe problems have occurred. Here's some pictures of rivers on Vancouver Island in pipes. We've been traveling around the province with COPE 378, really building a campaign to get these things stopped. On one of our research expeditions, Andy Miller, our staff scientist, headed up to S&M Creek, a valley of old-growth forest located near Pemberton, to check out reports of logging spotted owl habitat.
We are standing in territory of one of the last spotted owls remaining in British Columbia. There's only 16 owls left in British Columbia. What we're finding is that systematically government is going in owl site after owl site after owl site, removing the owls, logging their habitat. It's a pattern that's being repeated over and over and over again, and it's actually contrary to federal law. We have a species at risk.
Though we were not able to stop the logging of this spotted owl habitat, the media attention brought to this area did force the government and company to abandon immediate plans to log further. Andy was able to set up a camp on the site. Local MLA from Pitt Meadows Maple Ridge, Michael Sather, came up to take photos and to report back to the legislature. All the attention really brought people into the spotted owl protection campaign, including this wonderful story reported on Global National.
Well, this week's Everyday Hero is soaring by helping endangered friends do the same.
This is about the spotted owls and how they're endangered and everything.
It was an environmental newsletter about the spotted owl Jessica and her sister Samantha read that spurred them into action.
These animals need to be saved, and somebody got to do it.
So she did. Setting up a table in front of the local grocery store, Jessica asked people to sign petitions.
We always thought we'd get up to maybe 100.
Instead, they gathered 350 signatures and worked up the bravery to send them to the provincial government. All this work for the spotted owl has awarded Jessica some important recognition. This is a special day at Jessica's school.
So I'm very, very pleased on behalf of the Wilderness Committee to present you with this award, Jessica. Thank you very much for all the good work you did.
She's won the International Young Eco Heroes Award.
Get other people to write letters to other people, to talk to their parents, talk to their aunts, talk to their uncles, talk to their friends. And people start demanding better protection for endangered species in BC. You know, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's a big drop in the bucket, and you can feel the ripples.
Ripples from a 12-year-old whose enormous capacity to care makes Jessica Haverhill this week's Everyday Hero.
Meanwhile, on Vancouver Island, our campaigner Ken Wu was moving his campaign to end old-growth logging. First by bringing hundreds of people into the Walburn Valley, then thousands to the legislature in Victoria.
The rainforest has already been logged, and it's really, really important that we take a stand and try and protect what we have left for future generations. And that's why we came out here with the other 600 or so people.
I just want you to notice this one tree at the top of the hill. We thought that that was very symbolic of the tree of life. The mountain has been shaved, but there's one tree standing.
The child, the future generations that was being cut down. I mean, this is what these clear cuts are. They're cutting down our future generations. There was an energy that we're sending out from these sacred places that are being devastated like this. It's just, it has to stop. It's old thinking. So we just, we did some art and we sang and we brought beauty to a place that has seen a lot of darkness in the last few years because of these cuts, these horrible cuts.
Probably in the 800-year-old class. So it's an old tree and it's not protected. So on your buses, on the way back, there should be a leaf, an information leaflet about the wall brand. If you want to help protect this place, read the leaflet, write a letter, keep in touch with the Wilderness Committee in Rand, and we have a major campaign underway to protect the rest of this valley. Do it for the tree here.
Well, thousands of people rallied at the legislative buildings in Victoria today, calling on the provincial government to protect our remaining old-growth forests and forestry jobs. The rally, sponsored by the Western Wilderness Committee, attacked the Liberals for their policies.
Ken Wu has succeeded in bringing the issue of ending old-growth logging on Vancouver Island and southwestern BC really to the forefront of public consciousness. A tactic that the Wilderness Committee has become well known for over the years is trail building to protect wilderness. This is Ghost Pass Creek Valley, an area that has a trail in it. It's near Manning Park, just outside the boundary, but the trail had become overgrown. And as part of our campaign to expand the boundaries of Manning Park on the western side to take in these magnificent forests, which are important for grizzly bears and spotted owls, the Wilderness Committee, along with our partners and friends and volunteers, in 1 year managed to complete this trail project. We've never completed a trail project of this size and magnitude in 1 year before. It really required an awful lot of work put out in a very relatively short time, so that by winter time we were out there reopening the Ghost Pass Trail, a great place to go hiking, and something that we're certainly very proud of. During this period, the Wilderness Committee became involved in a big way in helping to fight climate change. We joined with a number of groups. Andrea Reimer, our executive director, headed down to take Al Gore's training workshop on giving climate change presentations. Andrea came back and gave those presentations throughout communities in British Columbia. We joined up with Peter Endich, a local activist and great Wilderness Committee supporter, to help with his rally against climate change at the Vancouver Public Library. David Suzuki came out and spoke. Here's a news story about that.
Nature of Things did the first television program on global warming in 1988. And in 1988, I wrote, "This is an issue of great importance that we have to act on now."
20 years later, with little action from elected officials, ralliers are now trying to exert direct pressure on the Prime Minister, texting him with their messages, advocating for a dedicated climate change initiative.
We produced a new story. Tar sands, Canada's greatest contributor to climate change, participated in a rally against the tar sands with Greenpeace, and then really turned our attention to stopping Gateway, the provincial government's wrong way approach to transportation involving the proposed twinning of the Port Mann Bridge, expansion of the number 1 freeway, expansion of Delta Port with all the ships and extra truck traffic that would bring. Ben West headed out to many communities, this one Delta, to get signatures on an anti-Gateway petition. We produced a newspaper on Gateway which really looked at the negative consequences of expanding our freeways and trucking, and also looked at the solutions of better transit for our people so that we could live safer, cleaner lives without the urban sprawl that this would do. All this activity caught the attention, of course, of the news media, who began to look at the Gateway project in a new way. And just coming up here, we have a news story on Gateway.
Today, environmentalists are fuming. They say BC's premier can't say he's tackling climate change while moving forward with a billion-dollar freeway expansion project.
We have a choice here. The people of the Lower Mainland have a choice. We can put billions, and I mean billions, into freeways and bridges and having us live further and further away from where we work, so we get more and more traffic on our roads, more and more carbon into the air, or we can put that money into transit, big money into transit, so that if I live in Langley or Surrey, I can get a bus to work.
It's not a war. We look at the most congested roadways in our region, like the Port Mann Bridge, for instance, right? It's the only bridge in our region without transit, and as a consequence, almost 3/4 of those cars are single-occupancy vehicles. People have the right to have a choice. Gateway will delay that choice for 7 years. We have an opportunity now to get transit on the roadways within 2 years.
The planned twinning of the Port Mann Bridge is being criticized tonight by two federal agencies, Health Canada and Environment Canada, saying that the province's estimates of the impact on air quality are woefully inadequate, and that the province has not shown any evidence that the bridge expansion will solve traffic congestion. Brian Coxford reports.
More traffic and greenhouse gases from automobiles and trucks created by the twinning of the Port Mann Bridge and expansion of highway routes in the Gateway project plans. Those are the concerns of critics after reports released by Environment and Health Canada. Of traffic expansion say in a province that just introduced a carbon tax to reduce greenhouse gases, it's like stepping on the gas and the brake at the same time.
One of the effects of the Gateway program is the building of roads through farmland. This farm, Formosa Farms, is in Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, grows organic blueberries. It's owned by Ting Wu and Risa Lin. One road has already been carved through the farm. Now a second road is being proposed, and the Wilderness Committee is actively fighting that with Ting and Risa. So is Corky Evans, the NDP agricultural critic, and recently we joined with them to put on a protest at Pitt Meadows City Hall.
Save our farm! Save our farm! Save our farm!
A key strategy of the Wilderness Committee is our public outreach. And on the fight to get salmon farms off our coast, we were out there in all seasons. This is what a salmon farm Valentine's Day protest looks like in the world of the Wilderness Committee. All the fun aside, we do get the media. Oh, and here's what a salmon farm Day of the Dead protest looks like, too. We produced this newspaper about threats by Shell's coal bed methane drilling program to the headwaters of our main salmon rivers. Not all of our public outreach occurs in the heart of the city. A great deal of it is out in the wilds, out in the beautiful lands of British Columbia. This is a shot of the Fraser River in the dry country up by Lillooet. In fact, it's where the Bridge River enters the Fraser River, and here is where the Statliam First Nation have been coming for centuries and centuries to harvest the wild Pacific salmon as they come up the river every year. So we rented a bus and invited Wilderness Committee members and supporters to come along with us and get a tour of this amazing site that's been going on for so many generations, where the Statliam scoop up the sockeye salmon primarily to dry on their wrecks, which are all along the Fraser River here. This is what our campaign to protect salmon is all about. It protects the salmon, the wildlife, the people, the culture, everything that's special about living here in British Columbia. And people really enjoyed this opportunity to get out on the land, to meet some of the Statlian people, and to see the salmon in the river, and also the salmon being prepared to feed the people.
Saskatoon berry stew every night for dinner. Camping out in the middle of the wilderness. An amazing feeling.
Eric Reeder, who heads up our Manitoba office of the Wilderness Committee, has been battling hard to get logging out of Manitoba's provincial parks. And this year, he has finally met with some success, with the provincial government agreeing to halt this backward practice. Out in Vancouver Island's Cathedral Grove, the Wilderness Committee's Annette Tanner has been working to gain protection for those ancient trees left out of McMillan-Bloedel Park. And she's been getting all sorts of media attention. Here's a recent TV piece.
Some 4,600 kilometers from his home in Japan, sportscaster Shusei Yamada stands under an ancient canopy of Douglas fir and western red cedar in BC's famous Cathedral Grove.
Sand. This whole area inside the line, that's what's left, and that's what we're trying to work towards protecting so that it doesn't get logged as well.
Annette Tanner is with the Western Canada Wilderness Committee and leads Yamada on this short yet eye-opening tour of Cathedral Grove and areas adjacent to it. He listens to her message that old-growth trees are all but gone on Vancouver Island. His cameramen capture it all. After years of travel as a sportscaster, Yamada became uncomfortable with the carbon footprint he was leaving on the earth. Now he wants to show the Japanese people how their everyday lives might be affecting a faraway place like Cathedral Grove.
I think that's a message that they would like to take. They would like to go back to Japan and say, look, everything that you do impacts somebody somewhere. And here's an example of what's going on in the Canadian forests.
The tour also goes to Cameron Canyon, a sliver of land near Cathedral Grove that's home to dozens of old-growth trees. The trees have been marked for logging, but the Western Canada Wilderness Committee wants the province to include the land in Cathedral Grove Park to protect them.
Well, that's it for our slideshow presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed working on all the various projects, and I hope you'll choose to join us. I leave you today with one final clip of Wilderness Committee activists wrestling with private power. Good day.
What? Introducing his partner, weighing in at a hefty 18 pounds, the star of our coastal ecosystem. Sleek, slim, and having many fins, a four-time holder of the Upriver Swimming Championship of the World, the mighty El Salmon!
Hello, everybody. My relatives have lived in the BC rivers and streams for generations. We have been here for millennia. And now I'm hearing that these guys want to build a dam and they want to clear cut the forest.
Don't listen.
Well, I'm not going to stand for that, but I need your help. Will you help me today? Come on, let's do it.
And introducing our champions, the old rich guy in private corporations that are in charge of our rivers and streams, the private powers. Hailing from parts unknown, he's wearing a silver mask with black trim. With a market capitalization of $7.5 billion, it's Private Power Guy! Private Power Guy is a registered trademark of 2345678 British Columbia Incorporated, a limited liability corporation.
Hello, California! I want you to know, Californians, that I am here for you. I am personally going to dam hundreds of British Columbia streams and rivers for your power needs. What was it? We're not in California? Where are we? Oh my God. We're in British Columbia. Scratch that, folks. I really don't plan on exporting any power to California. All the power that we make from damming all of your rivers and streams are going to you because you need that power. And besides, why would Premier Campbell pay me so much money to dam your streams and rivers if it wasn't going to benefit you?
Thank you, Private Power.